Alright, and welcome to episode 9 of what is Hitman Roulette. Today we're going to be talking about the second member of the Big Five, Santa Fortuna. This is, without a doubt, one of my all-time favorite maps. I've been playing this map religiously since it came out in November of 2018. It's a fantastic map, but holy shit, it is huge. There's a lot to learn, especially when it comes to traversal. There's a lot to this map, not just in the way of target isolations and kill methods and disguises and all that, but also just general melee items, trying to find where they all are. Can be a real nightmare sometimes, depending on what you're looking for, just because of how big this map is. And just map traversal in general is actually quite challenging, just because there are so many parts to this map. It's divided basically into 4, 5-ish quadrants. You've got the common ground that covers the shaman area all the way up to the main area that everybody's walking around in. And you've got Andrea's compound, and then you have Rico's mansion area, then you have Jorge's cocoa fields, and then finally you have the caves. Like I said, I've been playing this map religiously for 3 years, and I still to this day get lost traversing the caves. It can be a real nightmare. So, there's a lot to learn for this map. It is, in my opinion, the most difficult map in the game. A lot of people will compare this one to Haven Island in terms of difficulty in general. I don't think there's much of a contest to be had there. Santa Fortuna is by far the most challenging map that I've experienced. I've done well over 1,000 spins in this map, I'm sure. And it's non-stop challenging no matter what. There's always interesting things to do, but they're always a little bit trickier than pretty much any other map this game has to offer. So, welcome to hell, pretty much. But it's a good kind of hell. This is the kind of hell where everybody hangs out and smokes weed all day. This is some good shit. So, enjoy, sit back, let's learn some stuff, and let's go on to the starting locations. Now, for the starting locations, there really is not much to it. You want to just basically concentrate on the default start location if you need to start in your suit. Otherwise, you're going to opt to either start as submarine crew, or as mansion staff, or as cocoa field worker. The reason for that is because those starting points add quite a bit in terms of being able to isolate multiple targets within a brief amount of time. We'll be going over target isolations obviously right after this, but just know that construction worker is probably the weakest starting spot. There's not really a whole lot of reason to start by the hostel when you could just start default. There really isn't much difference between the two because they're basically right next to each other. If you do see Power or the barman in a spin, you might want to opt to start at the bar, but besides that, you're pretty much going to go for default and the other starting locations I mentioned prior. Okay, and on to the target isolations. There are multiple options for each target in the map, and all of them are viable in one way or another, depending on the spin. For the first one for Andrea here, we're going to be obviously isolating her in her compound every single time. The first one I'm going to showcase here is just a simple peekaboo. All you do is you go up to her compound, you go up the stairs right around where this camera is. Remember to shoot the camera out before you get up there if you're in a trespassing disguise. And right at one of these windows here, wherever she may be approaching and wherever you may be easily visible, stand in the spot and she will peekaboo you, then make sure you don't rip. Duck down behind the window, and she'll start coming out through the doorway. Once you see her come out the doorway, close the doors behind you, and KO her. Then you can just leave her body in this little corner here, and you can pretty much leave her here indefinitely. There's not anybody that's going to come around and see what's going on. You should be in the clear until you're ready to get the kill. The next isolation is done in the same area, except she's going to be downstairs in her office down there with her assistant. The only difference this time around is you don't necessarily need to peekaboo her. In fact, the only time you ever should peekaboo her from this location here is if the kill is a falling object kill. Other than that, you're going to knock out her assistant in this room, and then you're going to immediately run over to Andrea and knock her out or throw something at her head. She's going to be freaking out and yelling to get help, but no one's going to hear her because the door is closed. Just remember to KO her assistant after the door is closed, once Andrea enters the room. And the final isolation is where you get Andrea sick. You can get her sick and isolate her in the bathroom where she goes to puke, and I think this may be the most viable option for loud ballistic kills. If you can afford a seeker shot. If you can't, obviously the other better option would be to drag her outside of the room and dump her in the trash bin right outside of this office area outside the window. Besides that, if you can afford to get her sick and get her in the bathroom, loud ballistic kills are best done in here. The next isolation is kind of a combination isolation. It's pretty sick. This is a strat developed and discovered by Kay Kaneda. Fantastic roulette player, actually fairly new to the community and already achieved second place at Roulette Rivals World Championships 2. So congrats again to Kaneda for that. All you do is you start Submarine Crew and you traverse across this platform here and you turn on the submarine. After doing so, you're going to follow where I'm running around this exact area here. And you're going to plant a concussive device, whichever it may be, as long as it's proximity triggered. You don't want to have to rely on triggering it yourself, just to make things easier for quality of life purposes. So you're going to plant the concussive device where I showcased there. And you're going to continue outside of the caves and traverse across the log right beside the construction area, as I'm demonstrating here, and you're going to head over to Andrea's compound. Once you're approaching the outer area of the construction site and going up towards where the bar is and heading towards Andrea's compound, you'll see that it says Silent Takedown on the screen at some point, usually around the 2-minute mark-ish, something like that. That's the sign that Rico is going to be KO'd at that point. So despite the concussive bomb being loud, no one is going to hear it because there is a doorway that's actually in between where Rico gets KO'd and where people hear the bomb. So no one is going to hear the bomb because concussive bombs only require one doorway to be silent, whereas explosive lethal bombs require 2 doorways to be silent. So that's a good strat to know. At that point, you can head up to the compound where Andrea is and isolate her downstairs like I showcased earlier. So it's a very cool 1-2 punch to get 2 targets isolated and dealt with easily within the first 2.5 minutes of the spin. The next isolation is getting Rico in the downstairs mansion bathroom at the 2-minute 35-second mark. At 2:35, he's going to be talking to his guard here. Once you're in the mansion area and you've dealt with all the NPCs as I'm showcasing here, make sure that you're very diligent with this, as this is a pretty tricky spot to deal with most of the time. But if you do what I'm showcasing on screen, you shouldn't have any problems traversing this area and getting past these NPCs. Make sure that you actually stand outside of the window until Rico is actually talking to the guard. At that point, once he's talking to the guard, you can go through the window into the bathroom, and you have your options of either peekabooing him into the bathroom, or you can just make him sick, which will just make things easier for you for quality of life purposes. Making him sick is always the best option in case you miss the peekaboo. But peekaboo is really viable as long as you don't go through the window too early. Once you've got him in the bathroom, either by getting him sick or peekabooing him, knock him out and drag him really snug against this window here. His body should never be found. And just remember to box him as soon as you finish the kill. Isolation method number 3 requires Rico to be upstairs in his office at 3 minutes and 20 seconds. So you need to be going up towards this pipe here, dealing with the NPCs in the area the exact same way you did for the second isolation strat for Rico. Once you get up into his office, you can opt to turn on the sink here to get the guard that's already in the office brought into the bathroom so you can KO him and deal with him properly. And then at that point, it's just a waiting game for Rico. You can choose to, again, make him sick or peekaboo him into the bathroom. Once he's in the bathroom, KO him and leave him here. This is a great spot for Rico fall kills or Rico live kills, anything of that sort. Next isolation for Rico requires the hippo lure. It's really simple. All you do is once you're in the mansion compound, you're going to head down towards the left side of the mansion compound over to where the Hippo Whisperer is. We'll be talking more about him a little bit later when we discuss disguises. And you're going to KO the mansion guard that's chilling right by the Hippo Whisperer over here. And then you're going to KO the Hippo Whisperer himself. Make sure you hide both bodies and dress as the mansion guard. Of course, you can do the Hippo Whisperer disguise too, but Mansion Guard definitely makes things a little easier. If you get the meaty bone that I'm showing here, once you throw the meaty bone into the little pond here, that'll bring the hippo up. And if you manage to do that before the 1 minute mark or before the 6 minute mark, Rico will actually stop his cycle right before he turns around the mansion side. You're going to see Rico pause. He's going to say something to himself. He's going to head all the way over to you and see where Mijo is. Mijo is the hippo's name. At that point, you can opt to KO Rico, and this is a great spot to, again, you can get fall kills for Rico here, or you can get live kills here for Rico if you're doing a late live kill. And as far as Rico falling object is concerned, this is really the only option available to you to get that kill done. You can do the kill pretty easily, as I'm showcasing here on the screen. I thought I'd give that one away just for the hell of it, because a lot of people don't know that kill. and this is the only option for it. So it's always good to showcase these types of things for the newer players out there. So I hope that helps. The next isolations I'm going to be showing for Rico are a little bit more tricky. They're not really for rookies, but if you want to practice them, then by all means, go for it. Absolutely you should. They're definitely extremely viable isolations. First one being Mansion Staff. If you start Mansion Staff and you immediately head to your right, you're going to head down throughout the mansion basement area, head straight through, and then take a left through the kitchen. At that point, there's going to be 2 doors on your right. Once you're past the kitchen, you're going to head to the door furthest to the left. You're going to go up the stairs, and straight ahead of you, there's going to be a door that's exiting the mansion. Take that door and take a left. Once you've done so, you're going to head up to the stairs here and go into this doorway here to the garage. This garage is not a legal area for a Mansion Staff person to be, so you can actually peekaboo Rico here if you did this correctly and you were quick enough, which again is quite tricky, so you're going to need to practice this one. But once you've gotten to this area and you're in a trespassing disguise, you can lure Rico in here with a peekaboo and then do a corner subdue on Rico. Neither of the mansion guards are going to hear you from outside, and you're going to be good to go. At that point, you need to immediately drag his body into this side room here and wait for the mansion guard to then start approaching the area to do some cocaine lines. So do another corner subdue on the mansion guard. Again, you need to be very quick for this. Once he's done, you won't have to worry about anybody else coming to this area, as the other mansion guard is opting not to use drugs. So again, don't do drugs, kids, but, only do drugs if they make you feel really different. But anyways, that's that for the Mansion Staff lure. It's definitely my favorite for Rico, and I suggest learning this and mastering it as best you can, because it'll come up in spins more often than you think. And finally, we have the isolation demonstrated by Meme Junkie in Roulette Rivals 5. Big shout out to Meme Junkie. This isolation is a peekaboo, and we'll just, we'll call it the cave peekaboo or something, because you're basically peekabooing him into a cave that's just outside of the coca fields. As long as you're in a trespassing disguise for the mansion area, you can actually start as coca field worker, then get Jorge sick at the very beginning of the mission. He's going to go off and start puking in the outer perimeter of the coca fields. You can then KO him and leave him there. And then by the 1 minute 40-second mark, Rico is going to be in a spot where you can actually run over here and peekaboo him. The peekaboo lure is super strong, it's extremely viable, and it'll actually come up later in the video, as you'll see when it comes up. But this is a really cool strat, really stoked that Meme Junkie showed it. It's definitely one that I was stunned to see the first time I did see it. As soon as you peekaboo him the first time, he's going to lose interest and start walking away. At that point, you can do a throwing object and peekaboo him into the cave even further and knock him out and either kill him there and dump him in the box, or you can leave him there indefinitely and wait until you have all the equipment you need to kill him. And away you go. This is also great for Rico live kills at the 1 minute 40, 6 minute 40, etc. marks. Just remember that Rico is on a 5-minute cycle. So every 5 minutes, he's going to be in the same spot he was 5 minutes ago. So it's the same thing with Andrea. The only one that's random and bullshit is Jorge, and that's why it's always good that you can get him sick. And Jorge is the guy we're going to be talking about now. For Jorge, there really aren't any viable options other than getting him sick in the outer perimeter of the coca fields. Make sure that it is the outer perimeter of the coca fields. If you get him sick closer to the cave entrance, he's going to go over to the porta potty that's right beside the cave entrance over to the mansion area, and he will not be isolated or secure there at all. You're going to have guards looking directly at him while he's puking, and you can't knock him out, obviously, right in front of his guards, and knocking his guards out is just going to attract attention, so it's just a bloody nightmare. The only time it's viable to get him sick over by the other porta potty that's by the cave there is if you need to drown him, or maybe injected poison as well, but that's about it. Get him sick over to the porta potty that's closest to the river, which means the outer area of the perimeter, and you will be able to knock him out there and leave him there indefinitely. It's by far the most viable way to deal with Jorge, and I don't really recommend any other options for him because he's so damn random. His cycle is completely RNG. Just mitigate as much bullshit with him as you possibly can, and this target becomes a complete breeze. But there is another option. The other option being isolating him in his office. The office hut is basically as soon as you enter the coca field area from the mansion cave, you take a left, and there is an air conditioning unit right on the wall of one of the huts. That is the office hut. You can choose to turn off and turn back on the AC unit so that the helicopter pilot inside comes out. You can then KO him, and leave it so that Jorge is the only person inside of the hut when he enters the hut. Once he's inside, you can opt to KO him here, but there are so many NPCs outside that can peer through the window that I really don't recommend doing so. Even though I showcased it here just to show that it is possible, I don't recommend this isolation for him at all because it's super easy to rip here. And it's super not viable for very many kills really at all. Live kills are difficult here because of how easy it is to rip. And loud ballistics are a bloody nightmare just because of those damn windows. So the one thing I can say is if you shoot the windows out right beside the air conditioning unit that you turn off and on, you can actually get an easy peekaboo on Jorge before he enters the hut. As soon as he does enter the hut, you can aim your pistol at him and get him to peekaboo you from the outside, so he'll then exit the hut and come all the way around right by the garbage can that you'll be at, and you can choose to KO and isolate him there. That's a better option than doing it inside the hut, but again, it's up to you, and I don't really recommend anything aside from the getting him sick and doing the outer perimeter porta potty strat. Okay, and moving on to the disguises. This is the good shit. So there aren't nearly as many disguises in this map as there were in Miami, but that's a great thing for the sake of this video. However, all the disguises are pretty unique in how you'd get them. Let's start off with the band member. So the band member is actually a unique disguise, despite there being multiple band members on the map. You can only get the disguise from the dead band member inside this little house here. This house is basically 2 buildings to the right of Andrea's compound, and all you need to do here is cause a throwing distraction right by this dumpster for this lady to go inspect. She's standing right in front of the door that you're going to need to crowbar open. There are several crowbars in the area that you probably saw me grab several times in the video already. Open the door with a crowbar once she's just past the wall so she doesn't see you and rip you, and grab the disguise from inside. That's all there is to it. And get the fuck out. The barman is obviously located in the bar that's directly parallel to the docks where all the boats are located. So just head on over to the bar, and to the left side of the bar there's actually a fuse box you can trigger. Trigger it on and off, and then once you do, the barman is going to be the only one that will come outside to investigate. As soon as he does, knock him out and dump him in the dumpster directly behind you, swap disguises, and get the fuck out of there. There's nothing to it. For the chef disguise, there are 2 viable chefs on the map that I would suggest trying to go for if you need this disguise. The first one is actually right by Andrea's compound. He's in a little hut that's across from the band member's hut. All you need to do here is enter the doorway. You can either opt to trank the chef and wait until the girl inside panics and runs away, or the easiest method here would be to drop a snail, KO them both, and change disguises into the chef as long as no NPCs are out there looking inside. Make sure to use your instinct for this disguise swap. The second chef is in Rico's compound, obviously in the mansion area, down below in the lower level. He's right in the kitchen. All you need to do here is go into the cooler area of the kitchen, leave one of the doors open, and throw a throwing item right on this table here. One of the chefs is going to come around the corner, just knock him out, dump him in a freezer, and switch disguises and get the fuck out. Be careful of the other chef, though, as he is an enforcer when you're in this disguise. The Coca Field guard is obviously in the Coca Fields, and there's obviously multiple of them as it's another guard disguise. So again, pick up the litter type of deal. Now really any of the Coca Field guards are viable. You can pretty much just trank any of them as long as they're in the grass when you swap disguises, which most of them will be in. So it's really up to you which one you want to do if you can afford to trank one of them. But if you can't afford to trank one of them, then the easiest one to get, I'd say, would be this one standing by this tree right here. All you need to do here is throw a throwing item at the tree. The Coca Field guard is going to come inspect it. And when he does, you can KO him and leave his body exactly where you KO him. His body should never be found by any of the patrolling NPCs, as if he's snug right up to this tree at this exact spot, no wandering guards should walk across his body. And the grass is so tall in this section that any of the guards or NPCs wandering around in this area will literally have to walk on top of the body in order for it to be found. They could be walking directly beside it and not see it. That's how concealed everything is in this grassy area. So, as you can see clearly on screen, these NPCs walked right past the unconscious body and didn't see anything, and this is the same exact pathway they take every time they do their patrols, so you can rest assured that he's pretty safe in this spot here. For the Coca Field worker, there are multiple disguises you can choose from on the same area as the Coca Field guard, but the easiest one is this guy right here by the helicopter. It's very simple. All you need to do is run up behind him and do a subdue. Don't knock him out with a crowbar or anything like that, or he's going to fall forward. If you do a subdue, you'll actually be concealed, as you see here, the entire time you're choking him out. As soon as you go to choke him out, him and you are both considered concealed, and there won't be any NPCs that can actually rip you doing this. So grab him, move him over to this corner area of the grass so he doesn't get found ever, and take his disguise, and you're good to go. No tranks necessary. Very easy disguise to get, and this is the easiest NPC in my opinion. The construction worker is interesting because there are 2 viable construction workers to get on the map that I would say, despite there being multiple choices. The easiest one in my opinion would be the one by Andrea's compound. He's just above the scaffolding here. He's standing on top of this unfinished building. You'll need a trank for this guy, so just be aware of that, but he's definitely the one I go for 9 times out of 10. He's just past this gate here where you're going to need a crowbar or a lockpick or something to open. Before you open the gate, make sure the coast is clear so you don't get ripped doing so. Head up the stairs and stand right in the middle of this brick box looking thing area right here. As soon as you stand right in the middle, there should be no NPCs that should be able to see you take this shot. Shoot him right in the head, and you can swap disguises without any worry about anybody seeing you doing so. The second construction worker is, you guessed it, in the construction site. Just head down this area here. You can either opt to go across the log, or you can go past the street soldiers that are guarding the entrance if you're in the proper disguise to do so. Once you're in the construction zone, there are porta potties around the corner. You're going to need to take a throwing object and throw one right in front of the right side of the porta potties. One of the construction workers are going to come around the corner. You can choose to do a chain lure just to make it easier, and then you'll need to do a corner subdue. Corner subdue is perfectly safe here. No one's going to see you do this. Once you've done the corner subdue, dump them in the dumpster right next to you, swap disguises, and get the fuck out of there. The most viable drug lab worker disguise to get, I think, is where you trigger this generator here outside of this hut. You're going to turn it on and then turn it back off, and as soon as you do that, one of the drug lab workers is going to come out and investigate that. Throw an object at him, knock him out, and dump him in the box right next to the generator. Take the disguise as long as you're crouching, and you should be good to go. No one should be able to see you take this disguise. It is a little bit slow to get this disguise. It takes about 30 seconds in total, but it's a damn good disguise for this area. For the elite guard, there are multiple elite guards on the map, but most of them are in the caves, and the caves are just a friggin' nightmare. I'll show you later on in the spin when we discuss the submarine crew, other elite guard disguises that might be potentially viable if you happen to come across a spin where you'll need to enter the caves. Otherwise, stay the hell out of the caves and grab this elite guard over here in this corner by the default location. Just toss the throwing item, lure one of the elite guards closer to this spot, and then you can trank him from there, run into the grass where his body is, switch disguises, and that's all there is to it. Really, do not go into the caves if you can avoid it, because they're just a friggin' nightmare. There's so many enforcers, and there's not a whole lot of room to maneuver down there, and it's a bloody maze. So there's multiple reasons why you should avoid the caves at all costs. But unfortunately, we'll have to discuss a disguise where you'll have no choice but to enter the caves a bit later in the video. Gardener is quite easy. There are 2 extremely viable options for Gardener. One is in the hut directly beside the entrance to Andrea's compound. There is a free Gardener disguise just hanging out in one of the cubby areas. There are 2 NPCs inside there, so you can either opt to drop a snail and knock them out, or you can opt to panic the area, knock out whatever NPCs are remaining inside of the hut, and then grab the disguise whenever you get a chance. I would almost always opt to do the snail strat for this one, but it's totally up to you. If you don't have access to the snail, there are always other options, and the panic strat is perfectly viable. The second Gardener, and probably the one most people are going to go for, even though the free disguise is there, sometimes this live Gardener is the best approach. You're going to head right up behind him and take him out in any way you see fit. Trank, KO, subdue, whatever the hell you want. And just leave his body there. You don't need to worry about anything. Swap disguises and get the fuck out. You can actually just leave him there. Of course, you can choose to box him. There is a box right next to you. And if something loud might be triggering, like an explosive weapon or a ballistic weapon or something like that, then you might want to consider boxing him. But besides that, I'd say leave his body here and you're fine. The hippie is super easy. All you need to do is get up to the hostel where he is. He lives in this little area. You get up to the hostel. You open the doorway here with the crowbar or a lockpick or whatever. Shoot it open if you need to. And inside there is an alarm clock. Trigger the alarm clock and turn it back off, and as soon as he comes to investigate the distraction, that's when you KO him and box him in the closet right next to you. Very easy disguise to get, and actually one of the better disguises, as you can take the hippie throughout many of the areas of the map, including the caves and the cocoa fields, without any worries about trespassing. The Hippo Whisperer is exactly where he was when I showcased him earlier in the Rico isolation. You go to the left side of the mansion compound. You head over down to where the Hippo Whisperer is located, where the Mansion Guard is. You take them both out by any means necessary. I'd suggest a trank on the Mansion Guard and then a crowbar KO or whatever you have to KO the Hippo Whisperer with. And then you can up to box both of them, or you can hide them in the bushes, whichever way you see fit. Grab the Hippo Whisperer disguise and you're good to go. It's actually a very powerful disguise in the map. And fun fact, you can approach Rico at any point in the Hippo Whisperer disguise. Just don't go inside of the mansion on the top floor, at least. You can go on the bottom floor, but approach Rico in this disguise, and you can bring him over to Miho all manually without needing the meaty bone lure or anything like that. Now, I've already showcased several Mansion Guard disguise methods in this video, but there are multiple disguises that are quite easy to obtain in the map in case you're having difficulty grabbing one of these guys. The best ones, I'd say, are the guy that you do the distraction shot for right before you go inside the bathroom downstairs to isolate Rico. He's a very easy disguise to get, and he's very safe, as you can hide him in the bushes, or you can even leave his body right where you knock him out, as long as he's fairly well hidden. The other one that you can grab is where you can isolate Rico in the Mansion Staff disguise. When you corner subdue him into the garage, you can lure the Mansion Guard in with a throwing distraction and dump him in the closet there, and you're good to go. Of course, there's the Mansion Guard I showcased just now. That's right by the Hippo Whisperer. You can always grab him. He's very viable. And finally, there is a free Mansion Guard disguise that's actually on a dead Mansion Guard's body that's right beside the construction site where the log is. It's towards the right side of the construction site if you're facing the entrance of the construction site from Andrea's compound. There's a dead body. You can use your instinct to locate it, swap the disguise, and that's it. Now, if Mansion Staff ever comes up in a spin, the best way to go about it is just to start as Mansion Staff and go about the lures as I've already described. However, if Suit is also part of the spin, you need to know how to get Mansion Staff properly. There are two Mansion Staff guys that you can get easily in this area here in the mansion. This one guy, you can just trank him at any point and swap disguises as long as the maid isn't looking right at you, or you can bring him around the bar and KO him there. Best way to do so is to knock him out when the maid isn't looking, drag him behind the bar, and you're good to go. If you try to throw distraction him, you will either lure the maid or a Mansion Guard from upstairs. I don't know why this is, but that's just how the AI works for this particular NPC. He does not give a fuck about throwing distractions, so just kick his ass, bring him behind the bar, and you'll never have to worry about him being found. The other Mansion Staff is directly below that one that I just talked about. He's in the basement area of the mansion. The best way to go about him is just trank him. As soon as the coast is clear and there is no maid in the area, you'll need to trank this guy, grab his outfit, and get the fuck out. But again, if you ever see Mansion Staff in a spin, please just do yourself a favor and start as that disguise, as Mansion Staff might be the second most annoying one to get in the map. For the Shaman, whenever you see Shaman in a spin, as long as Mansion Staff or Submarine Crew isn't in the spin, you always want to just start at the Shaman hut. Start at the Shaman hut. As soon as you hear the Shaman doing his little speech, he's going to end his phrase with the word journey. So head into this bush here. As soon as he says the word journey, that's when you throw the distraction. The Shaman is going to be the one to go investigate that. Run up behind this NPC here, knock him out as soon as the Shaman is walking away, and once the Shaman's in the bush, KO him in there. Drag the other NPC over to these bushes, because at the 10-minute mark, you're going to have a couple of wandering street soldiers come up from the upper area of this spot. They're just going to come patrol over here for some stupid reason, just to be trolls. They will find any bodies that are out in the open at the 10-minute mark, so just be aware of that. If the spin goes over 10 minutes and there's bodies hiding here, you're going to rip, and that really sucks when you've already been into the spin for 10 minutes. And trust me, in Santa Fortuna, most spins are going to be over 10 minutes long. So anyway, swap disguises with the Shaman in the bush here, and get the fuck out. The Street Soldier is the one guard disguise on the map we haven't talked about yet, and as I said before with the other guard disguises, there are multiple Street Soldiers to choose from, but the easiest one to get by far is the one that's standing right under the coconuts in Andrea's compound here, right by where the camera is. You're going to shoot the camera out first, you're going to come up behind the Street Soldier here and strangle him, and then you're going to throw him in the box right behind you. Swap disguises and get out. There is definitely no reason to go for other Street Soldiers. Of course you can if you need to, but this guy is the easiest one to get if this is one of the disguises required for the spin. Now, the Submarine Crew is by far the most annoying disguise to get in this map, with no contest whatsoever. Nothing even comes close, just because of where the Submarine Crew guys are located. All of them are located downstairs in the caves. This is really the only disguise and the only reason you'll ever approach the caves at all, and it really makes for an annoying disguise to get in general, just because this guy is so far out of the way and there are so many enforcers down there, and you already need a different disguise to even approach the caves in a safe way. It's just a total mess. This disguise is such a nightmare. So please, do yourself a favor and start Submarine Crew. Don't even bother with this shit. But if Suit is also in the spin, then you're fucked. But anyways, go down into the caves via the upstairs area where the garage is. You can actually trigger a hidden doorway. Go downstairs to the caves, and the very bottom of the stairs where you're going from the mansion area, there is a key card on the ground. Grab the key card, enter the doorway, and take a right. There are a couple of NPCs just hanging out by a generator, just past them, and enter the doorway on your right. Here is where there's going to be 2 elite guards and 1 submarine crew guy in the room, as well as the camera box. So you can opt to KO the first elite guard that's standing right by the camera box. Make sure he's facing the camera box at the time. Then opt to trank the submarine crew. You do need a trank for this strat, 100%. And the other elite guard is going to be all observant of the submarine crew getting KO'd. At that point, you're going to KO that elite guard and swap disguises into the submarine crew. There is also another submarine crew you can get in the same area, just beyond the other door in this room here. You need to go around to this corner here and corner subdue an elite guard by causing a distraction. Once you've done that, you can choose to cause another throwing distraction or cause a shooting distraction. And one of the submarine crews that's just around the corner from you, after you KO the first elite guard with the corner subdue, will come investigate, and you can do the same thing with him. But this guy is a freaking nightmare to get because of all the NPCs down here. I really don't recommend any other submarine crew guys besides the first one we discussed, and even he is a huge pain in the ass. So, do yourself a favor. Start submarine crew. It's a really great starting spot. It has plenty of viable strats to go along with it, but if Suit is in the spin, again, like I said, have fucking fun. It's going to be a long spin. Now, the Submarine Engineer is a unique disguise, and a lot of people get it mixed up with Submarine Crew. You can only find the Submarine Engineer disguise on one spot of the map in the docks where all the boats are located. You need to go up into this area where one of the elite guards is going to be yelling at one of these NPCs over here. He's going to be telling him to get back to work, etc. and so forth. The NPC is going to be all cautious and not wanting to come out. So, as long as he is looking over the corner like this, like exactly how he is on screen right here with his hands on the doorway and his head peeking around the corner, if he's looking like that, you can literally just walk around the corner, grab the disguise, and get the hell out of there. There's no reason to do any distractions. You can go right through without being seen. But if he's standing in any other position and looking all nervous as he does, then you cannot go through this area unless you do a panic shot. So, I demonstrated the panic strat here just to showcase that it works. But I didn't need to because the NPC was in the good position where I could have just gone in and grabbed the disguise for free. But anyways, once you grab the disguise, get the hell out and carry on about the map. And finally, the Tattoo Artist. The Tattoo Artist is Power, or Diana calls him P-Power, but what does that fucking mean? He's got the power of P on his side? It sounds so fucking stupid. So I call him Power because it sounds badass as tits. And there's a very easy way to get him. All you gotta do is once you go over to the bar area where you got the barman earlier, you're going to cause a throwing distraction right outside the doorway here. The only trick to this one is you need to make sure that the female NPC inside the bar is nowhere close to the tattoo artist at the time. If you throw something when she's standing by the jukebox trying to figure out what song she wants to play, she will be the one to go investigate the distraction. So don't do that. Wait until she walks away. And if she's already away, then perfect. Throw something right there. He's going to come out and investigate. He'll be the only NPC that does so. And you can knock him out, throw him in the box just like you did the barman earlier. Take his disguise and get the hell out. Pretty damn good disguise too, because you have free roaming of the mansion area, which is fantastic because that's probably the most treacherous area in the map, besides the caves, of course. But the difference is the caves we rarely need to approach, whereas the mansion you're going to be approaching that in every spin regardless. So, damn good disguise for that reason. Okay, so that clears up all the disguises. There aren't too many disguises on this map. I mean, there are still quite a few, but we just did go over 29 fucking disguises in Miami, so this is a breath of fresh air when you're trying to go over that many. I believe in Santa Fortuna there are 18 disguises total, which makes Santa Fortuna the 5th highest disguise having map in the game, next to Miami, Sapienza, Whittleton Creek, and Mumbai, so that's always interesting to note. Even though it is the 5th most disguise-having map in the game, it still is nowhere near as brutal to try to get all that information together for this video here, considering what I went through with Miami. So, glad that at least that one's over. This was definitely a nice change. But, anyways, I think we should go on to the fun stuff. Let's do the spin demonstration. I'm excited because this map is fucking sick. Alright, and for this spin we have Rico Delgado must be killed with fiber wire as a Coco Field guard. We've got Jorge Franco must be killed with scissors, wearing the suit, and Andrea Martinez must be drowned, dressed as the shaman. So, pretty awesome spin. I'm glad that we get a live kill for Rico and we get a suit start for this map because that adds a lot of difficulty extra on top of the fact that the map is so hard to begin with. And live kills for Rico are always interesting because you can't just rely on the classic isolations that we talked about a bit ago. So I'm opting here to start by the shaman hut because I want to get the shaman out of the way immediately. I'm going to bring a seeker, a fiber wire, a calmer, and a pistol. Let's do this. I'm pumped. Let's get some SA shit. Alright, so first things first is obviously we need to get the shaman disguise. He is pretty easy, like I explained a second ago. There's not much to it. Just make sure you kick this guy's ass right here. And make sure that the shaman is in the bushes, like I said. So, get this guy out of the way. Head over and grab the shaman disguise. And there's not a whole lot to it. The reason I start shaman hut is just he's so frickin' far out of the way. There's no reason to start anywhere but the shaman hut. Basically, if you ever see shaman in a spin, good thing to note is unless you don't need to start in your suit and you can start in other disguises like, I don't know, Manchester Staff or Submarine Crew, for example. If you're able to start those disguises, maybe you have to go with that one. But if suit is in the spin and so is shaman, always start shaman hut. There's no reason not to. It's so far away from everything else. It's kind of off in its own little corner of the map, so it's just a pain in the dick, but, you know, it's not that bad to get at least. So I'm opting to get my pistol here. Obviously, you don't want to pretty much ever go into this map without a pistol. There are silent pistols on the map that you can get that are just underneath the mansion compound there, where Rico is. So you can totally get pistols. But I'm opting to grab mine and bring my own pistol in. So there are the scissors right there, right inside the barber shop. Just to the kitty corner of the entrance of the compound. You're going to want to grab those for the Rico, or shit, for the fucking Jorge kill. But, yeah. It's pretty nice that almost everything we need for the kill is right by the compound. Shooting out this camera, and I'm going to make Andrea sick, but the thing about making her sick is it's a huge pain in the ass because with the shaman here, because the shaman, unless you're Frody 7 or Yannini, the shaman is completely legal inside of the compound. You can go in here and do your thing, but getting Andrea sick is tricky because you don't want her seeing you because she'll then reset her cycle and go head over to the construction area, and then you'll have to deal with her over there, and that's just not viable at all. So you have to make sure she doesn't see you in the shaman disguise, stick to the right side of that window that I just did, and then shoot her with the seeker. She's now sick, she's gonna go take a shit, and I'm gonna go dunk her head in the toilet. Alright, but there's the camera box that I just shot out that we are going to be using for every single spin virtually. That's the camera box you're gonna shoot out no matter what the spin is, because it's just the easiest to get to. There are other camera boxes in the map, obviously there's one in the caves, there is one in the mansion area, in the bottom floor of the mansion area. There are several that you can work with, but that's the easiest by far. So, there's Andrea dead, and that's the first kill. So, always nice when we get the first one out of the way, even if it is the easiest target. There's no question about it. Andrea is by far the easiest target, followed by Jorge. And then way at the bottom of the list is Rico's bitch ass. That guy is such a huge pain in the dick. I hate that guy. Just because the mansion is such a fortress, it can be pretty tricky to get around the mansion without getting ripped. Whereas getting around, obviously, the compound area is no big deal, and getting around the cocoa fields are no big deal either. And there are no targets in the caves or the construction area, so you don't need to worry about really ever going over there. So the mansion grounds are definitely the most annoying part of this mission, for sure. And it's just nice to be able to clear out Rico as quickly as you possibly can. That's why the mansion staff and the submarine crew starts are so freaking powerful. But obviously with the suit spin, we can't start in those disguises. So you have to try to just work around that and use the timestamp knowledge to your advantage. But anyways, we did the crowbar thing on the gate there, right past where the shaman hut is. This actually leads directly to the cocoa fields. You're just going to climb down this vine straight ahead of us here. And as soon as we get down the vine, we turn around and boom, we're at the cocoa fields. That's it. There's nothing to it. It's pretty awesome how this all works. Everything is quite connected in this map. I really like how the overall design of Santa Fortuna is. It's like basically if you keep walking straight, eventually you will find your way back home. You know what I mean? Like it's not one of those where the fuck do I go types of maps. Just keep going, and you'll eventually find where you're trying to go. It's very well designed. Is what I'm saying. So with Jorge, always remember to shoot him when you're getting him sick, because getting him sick in the outer perimeter of the cocoa fields, like I said, is easily the best way to do it. Make sure you're always standing up in, or make sure when you're aiming your gun, you're in the tall fields, not the short fields, because you won't be concealed. So just remember that. Like I said earlier, you gotta do the fucking tall field strats. No question about it. Otherwise you will get fucked. You'll totally rip. His guards will see you, they put him into target lockdown, and you're screwed. That's it. So Jorge's coming over here. We're gonna kick his ass with some scissors. Jorge's down. And here's the cocoa field worker, or sorry, the cocoa field guard disguise that we're gonna be getting. Plain and simple. Look at that. We got 2 targets down, sub 6. Now we're off to the 3rd one, the most difficult one. But I'm actually opting to use Mean Junkie's strat here. Full disclosure, this is actually my 2nd attempt at this spin, but I wanted to see the difference between either doing the hippo lure, which I tried my first try around, and I actually got just over 10.5 minutes, compared to doing the peekaboo that Meme Junkie demonstrated. I'm going to do that, and you'll see a major time difference in that strat. So, like I said, it is very challenging to try to pull off this peekaboo if you're a bit of a rookie. You should probably, level up your skills a little bit before attempting something like this. But if you're a veteran and you know what the fuck you're doing, this peekaboo strat is extremely viable. And shout out to Meme Junkie again. The guy is a Hitman genius. And this strat is one of the coolest strats I've seen in Santa Fortuna. Considering I play this map every single fucking day, religiously, and I basically live here, and in Mumbai, and in Haven, and in Berlin, seeing new strats like this come up, it just brightens my day. I just love it. So, again, big shout out to Meme Junkie. Dude's awesome. This strat, I'm not doing it correctly because I'm a scrubby ass bitch, but there we go. Finally got the peekaboo on Rico. You can always get him around the 6-minute 40 mark, and just remember that he is in a 5-minute cycle, just like Andrea. Jorge is a total random bitch, but Rico and Andrea have reliable cycles that you can always fucking rely on. And so now I'm opting to let him lose interest, and as soon as he does, I'm going to throw the object here. He's going to turn around and see what that is, but I don't want him to go to the object. I want to lure him further into the cave, so I'm going to do another peekaboo on him here. I just did the object to get his attention so he'd look in my direction. We lure him further into the caves, and we're going to make him lose interest again and kill him as soon as he turns around. So this is quite nice because no one's going to see this kill, obviously. There's a big frickin' boulder in the way of our viewpoint, so we're safe. There's nothing to this one. Kick his ass with the fiber wire. That's the hardest target down. And we barely even had to leave the cocoa fields for that. So pretty sick strat. Really love that. Like I said, I could have easily just stopped the spin at 1 try and done my 10-minute, 27-second hippo lure showcase that I did first. But now I did the peekaboo instead. And because of that, look at this shit. Very, very cool. So come on, fucking little bitch. Okay, there we go. So, Sinus Acid, 5 stars, 8 minutes, 3 seconds. That is such a rarity to see something that quick in Santa Fortuna. 8 minutes, 3 seconds is a hell of a good time for a spin where Rico is a live kill and you have to start in your suit. And Shaman is the other disguise. And Andrea is a live fucking kill too. So, really crazy spin and still super quick. Really enjoyed that. That was a fucking blast. Alright, well, that about does it for Santa Fortuna. Man, like I said, this map just really makes me happy. There is so much to do in this map. I really love that there's more than 2 targets, especially in a map this size. I feel like Miami was a bit of a waste, like I said, just because that map could have easily housed more than 2 targets, and we would have had no issues with that. That map is so huge. Santa Fortuna is arguably about the same size, if not maybe even a little bit bigger, so it's nice to see that it's actually taking advantage of that, and the map being divided into multiple different quadrants, and really having the targets kind of be in their own domain really adds a lot of intrigue as far as roulette spins go, and at the same time, the map still adds a lot of intrigue for other things like Sasso and things like that. So there's definitely a lot of fun to be had with Santa Fortuna. I really think more people should give this map a chance. I can completely understand and sympathize with people that are a little bit overwhelmed by the difficulty this map presents, but I think if you give this map a few tries, do a couple of dozen spins on it, you'll really fall in love, as I did. So, Santa Fortuna, one of the best maps ever made in the trilogy. Too bad the video's done now, but at least the next video coming out is almost as fun in my mind, if not just as fun. We'll see you the next time in Mumbai, the biggest map in the Hitman franchise. And until then, keep rocking out and keep gaming.